All right, so we're going to start off our podcast tonight a little bit differently, a bit of a off of the news from Damar Hamlin. We wanted to, give that story the respect and appreciation that it deserved. And obviously, Damar Hamlin, at the time of the recording of this podcast, remains in critical condition, stemming from a hit in which he sustained cardiac arrest in the Bills and Bengals game on Monday Night Football that led to the suspension of the game. He was transported to the UC Medical Center, which is a Trauma 1 center, is right next to the stadium, which is good. He was administered CPR for over 10 minutes, was resuscitated twice, and just today we have learned that he has been taken from 100% oxygen that they were giving him to 50%. So things are looking better, but he still has a lot of work and still a lot of good things that need to happen for Damar Hamlin. So we wanted to open up and just kind of talk about that, talk about how scary of a situation that was. I have covered many sports stories. This is right up there with the Kobe Bryant death, and just in terms of like how it hits you like a ton of bricks. There's so much information that's out there, or not information that's out there. And it really, for everyone, I don't think that we're going to say anything particularly different from other people, but I think that it was to understand the severity and the seriousness of that issue, and to know what kind of perspective that we get when moments like that happen.
Yeah, and I think it's important for us because I think one theme that we have in our podcast is that we are here to have a good time and have fun, and not only bring some light and I guess joy into our own lives by participating in this, but hopefully to the people who listen and enjoy it as well. And I think we would be remiss to not mention that and try to just head into this episode, with a joking tone or manner. Like, obviously we're still going to have a good time throughout this recording, but I do think that this is a pretty serious and rare situation that we do need to make mention of it. And obviously we're all on the same page, hoping that he gets better and hopefully can return not just to football, because at this point that's not as important, but to be with his family and to live the rest of his life. Obviously, being 24 years old and having something like this is pretty damn crazy, pretty scary as well. So all best wishes to him and his family. And
there's a couple things that's looking up too. It's like this has happened a couple times in the past. You hear me?
Yeah.
And I forget the other one, but one was a Danish soccer player in 2020, and both people that had, if this is the commotio cordis, which is a blunt force to the chest that takes you into cardiac arrest, which if you look at the play, because I was watching it live, and right when he made the tackle, I stepped out of the room and played with the dogs, and I came back and the game hasn't been going on. So I didn't even see the collapse until I saw it on Twitter. And the commotio cordis or whatever that's happened to two athletes, they were both able to come back from it. So that's a positive thing, that you're hoping that he would be another one to be able to make a full recovery. And if he wanted to play again, but most importantly, just like be able to live. He was doing a lot of good things outside of football.
Yeah.
Like, the toy drive that's blown up like crazy.
Yeah, as
over $1 million donations, I believe.
$4 million tonight, of tonight.
Yeah, 5.4 was the last I saw it, from over 190,000 different donations.
With a goal of $2,500.
Yeah, it was actually an old GoFundMe from like his first ever one, and so like he's been doing this for years, and not a lot of people have known about it with his Chasing M's Foundation, but someone found it. Bill's Mafia did, and they made sure to just pile on. One of my favorite things from that story is that a number of athletes have contributed, the Tom Brady's of the world, Russell Wilson and Sierra have donated $10,000. The Washington Commanders themselves. But in an impact sport as well, where they've actually dealt with the death of an athlete in Owen Hart, is the WWE and just professional wrestling in general. And it was Chris Jericho, legendary wrestler, who donated $5,000 last night, but he spelled his name incorrectly to Crus Jericho, Chrus, and he was just like, screw it, I'm going to donate another $5,000 with his actual, like, the correct name written down on there. So he sent $10,000 from Crus, $5,000.
That's funny you brought that up, because that was, I think, was a factor in the not necessarily the NFL, but the players' decision to not play last night.
Yeah,
is because when, I don't know if you guys remember that, but I was a huge wrestling fan when I was a kid. Bret Hart, Owen Hart were my absolute favorites. And when Owen Hart died, like during the fucking wrestling match, they decided
to keep
going
yeah.
and go on with the show. And obviously, you know, it's all staged. It's completely different than NFL. If you ask anyone today, everyone who was involved in continuing that show regrets that fucking decision to this day. It just didn't, it felt, they felt like they needed to do it in the moment, but today they're like, we shouldn't have done that. We should have just ended it and not continued on with the show. And the thing with Hamlin is, you know, he's been in the league for
2 years.
Yeah, 2-3 years.
He hasn't had a chance. Like, you probably will only know this if you're Bills Mafia, but this is the first year he's gotten a chance to play because Micah Hyde is out. Poyer's been injured almost throughout the whole season, and he's finally able to, you know, he's gotten a chance to play, and that was a good stop that he made.
Yeah,
when he got hurt.
It's nice to kind of see, you know, coming out of the woodwork of this story, to see kind of the fun things that he has done for his community, and, you know, just kind of the character of a guy that he is as well. So, you know, hopefully everything continues to turn up, and I'm happy, again, just to kind of reiterate that what you said, that they didn't play that game last night. And I think, and we'll be talking about this a little bit later on. Just wanted to start the show by acknowledging Damar Hamlin. Is, you know, I'm pretty sure that it was Sean McDermott and Zach Taylor who said, we're not playing this game.
Which is the right decision.
You know, the broadcast was saying that there was going to be a 5-minute warm-up period as kind of protocol, that they're going to restart. You saw Joe Burrow starting to warm up, and then you saw those guys reconvene, and then they walked in. I think, you know, and in split-second decisions, you know, I think that the possibility of, like, wanting to continue on and knowing the stakes of this game and everything, that someone high up needed to be corrected there to say, like, hey, we're actually not going to continue this. We understand the circumstances and the situations here, but this isn't happening. And it was led by the leaders of Sean McDermott.
I think logistics-wise, every decision that was made post-injury and tragedy that happened last night was the right decision. And it feels like, it was bigger than the game, and they made the right decision to not continue, forgetting the gambling world, the fantasy world, and all that stuff. The thing is, if you're approaching this subject and this tragedy, saying that, it's football, let's move on, it's very insensitive, and I definitely don't agree with that. It's not another broken leg. You know what I mean? Like, it's someone on the verge of death who's being kept alive by a ventilator, essentially.
Yeah.
But this is the time where I wish we didn't have social media.
Certainly.
And stuff like this.
Mm-hmm.
You can't help but be on your phone, and you see all these tweets and all this stuff, and you don't know what's genuine.
Yeah.
Like I was telling Braxton on the way here, like, this whole, like, the media especially is who I have a problem with. It feels like you need to be sadder than the next person. And did you know who Damar Hamlin was?
No.
Before that shit happened? No. And then what happens is you you're sad and you don't like what happened, which is natural. That's how we all reacted to it. It doesn't have to go on the extreme on the other side. But then everyone needs to point a finger at someone because you need somebody to blame.
Yeah, it's like why does sadness have, like, collective sadness, like for this circumstance specifically? Why does it have to come with an ounce of anger? You know what I mean?
Yeah, why? Why can't it just stop with you?
Why can't we all just agree, like, wow, this is really scary. This is crazy. It's something that we don't have all the information on. We're all trying to understand in the same exact amount of time. Why in that process do people feel this entitlement to be like, well, you don't get it. I know more, or I feel more. Like that, I totally agree with you. That just really rubs me the wrong way. And it does seem common in these media members to like almost one up one another, to be like, oh yeah, I actually knew him, or here's an interview that we had, or, and it's like,
or even if you don't, why do you have to validate that you're entitled to the way you feel and they're not? Like, why can't it stop us? I wish the best for this. Yeah,
the sadness or whatever emotion it may be, but regardless of that, I mean, I'm not much of a praying guy, but I hope anybody who does believe in that is sending prayers his way. And hopefully everything comes out on the positive end.
Yeah, like I wish it would just stop. And I'm not bringing some sort of negativity. This is just something that I feel like this is something we talk about here.
Yeah, absolutely.
Why can't it just stop at, I wish the best for this guy and his family, and to be able to continue living a normal life even outside of football. Because I hate seeing the stuff like, oh, why send your prayers? Why don't you send your thank you to the doctors? Like, why does it have to be, you know what I mean? And I added this because I'm like, okay, I did see the Skip Bayless tweet.
Yeah.
I saw the tweet.
It's like they have to keep playing this game, right? Like,
well, here's the thing. You break down, and this is before I saw any KFC Dave Portnoy reaction to the tweet. I saw the tweet last night. I saw 3 of them in a row. I saw the first tweet. And then, you see Jay Williams, Kendrick Perkins. Whether you respect these media members or not, you see them just fucking lashing at fucking Skip. If you break down Skip's 3 tweets, he didn't really say anything bad or attacking or you know what I mean? Like, if you just look at it, he didn't say anything bad. The thing with Skip is his reputation.
Yeah. No benefit of the doubt. Like,
you're not going to get it.
Yeah.
Because he's a clickbait guy.
Yeah, because I mean, like, later on you saw Scott Van Pelt in kind of in a different setting with a different tone, because we all know the type of tone that Skip has when you have the empathy behind Scott Van Pelt asking a similar question. But again,
it's Skip. It's like if you're Bill Laimbeer with the Bad Boys and Detroit Pistons, even if you didn't commit the foul, you get called on that foul, and you can't say shit because there's 100 other times that you've done it in the past that you did that same thing. Yeah, you can't argue with it. And with Skip, with being called out for that, the tweets weren't bad, but does he deserve it? Kind of, because you still wanted to take advantage of the situation, knowing that you're going to get hits on those tweets, which is what you make a living out of.
I think that, there's a damned if you do, damned if you don't moment. People are saying in the, Joe Buck is cutting in and saying there's nothing, we're sending it back to the studio, and you've got Booger McFarland and Adam Schefter there to give you the first thoughts, and those people were not there to give that type of insight and that type of commentary.
Honestly, it was surprising to me that out of the 3, I forget the woman's name.
Susie Colburn?
Yes. Out of the 3 of them there, Booger was actually the one who I felt handled it the best.
I do too. Yeah. No, but again, reputation about Booger is not
he's
the best
not the guy you want me telling you bad news.
I thought, and this is kind of what I thought, was like, why wouldn't you just take a wide shot of the stadium, say that you're in kind of a network break that, just nothing. But
yeah,
I mean, but in that moment, people are looking for answers. But, like at that time, which, no one could say, is that, like, because they created this human wall around everything, around Hamlin, was that, he was being administered CPR. We didn't know that.
Yeah.
I think it was such an unusual situation that no one's ever experienced before, that no one knew what to do. and they kept doing this field shot, studio shot, and people were just repeating the same thing. And at that, like hindsight, you can go back and just like, you could have cut it 20 minutes ago, but everyone was just waiting for what the person was going to tell them.
He was on the field Hamlin was on the field for almost a half an hour. And I thought that in the wake of that, Ryan Clark actually had some really insightful things to say, because he nearly died on a football field as well. He had, I forget exactly what it was, but he had complications from sickle cell anemia or, I wish that I had this in front of me, where he had a medical emergency that sent him to the hospital where he almost died because of complications of an injury with a hereditary trait.
Okay.
And so he's actually able to speak on this pretty eloquently because like he was in that situation where he was on the other side of people coming in and basically saying like, dude, I didn't think that you were going to survive.
Yeah.
And I thought uniquely he was qualified in that moment, and it obviously wasn't planned, but gosh, it should have gone to him in the first place. It took an hour to get to Ryan Clark. So.
Not to be a broken record, but like having the information in front of us 24/7 and knowing that there are insensitive people, selfish people out there who would use a situation like this to get their own clout or to get clicks or to make money off of it, and to bring up something as horrible as T. Higgins leaned into him. Now you're like, how do you think he feels?
Yeah.
Like, as a fellow player, to now bring him in and say, well, you're a part of this. It's your fault.
Yeah.
Like,
it's like batters.
You don't say shit like that.
It's like batters who hit a comebacker on a pitcher. I mean, there's just like no reason, no way that you have any control over that.
One of those things too. It's like I really hope he doesn't even give the time of day to even respond to those comments.
Don't even listen to it. Don't even listen to it. But there's a lot to get to tonight. Obviously, we're sending all of our positive thoughts.
He'll be back.
Yeah,
I believe in him.
Them's the hopes, and I hope that they're able to rally behind it. There's a lot of uncertainty now, but hopefully over the next little bit we can provide our commentary, whatever that might be.
Listen, Hamlin is going to play in the Super Bowl against the Eagles.
Love that.
You mark my words. It's going to be Bills, Eagles. He's going to be playing in that game.
MVP.
Well, Eagles are going to win. just saying.
Well, with that, let's start the show.
This is Chris Hansen.
This is TJ Hushmanzada.
Chad doing Rip City Radio here.
This is Jamie Hudson.
And I need to let y'all know something. You're listening to.
And you're listening to.
It just makes sense.
This just makes sense.
It just makes sense.
Woo! Way better than Chris Hansen.
Yeah, seriously. I want to get involved in the rigging of Fat Bear Week.
In relationship to Fall Out Boy.
Oh, Fall Out Boy. People are.
Oh, Jesus. Oh, my God.
I'm sorry. Yeah.
Oh, we got it.
Cut that.
Like, someone should hire you to be a protester. 4 Bills dead weight. They're not getting you off that court.
They look at me and I'm like, I fucking dare you.
That's what
I
I'm saying.
dare you.
I mean, like,
Tractor, there's nothing that can do.
They gotta be forklift certified.
Oh, I can't be a Cowboys fan because of this moral high ground that you are on. Bite me. Eat me.
Bite me. Eat me. I mean, gosh.
I'm so sorry to everyone that we just did that to.
Everything I just said before that, I just made that shit up.
Small enough and dumb enough.
Small enough, dumb enough. That's what we want.
That is It Just Makes Sense.
Yo, our music's different now.
I know. I was doing a little throwback.
Bienvenidos a It Just Makes Sense.
We're on the Ocho. After the dodgeball game.
Soy Pedro. Está Juan Magoo and Big Mike White Guy.
That's a great fucking nickname.
I just realized that neither of us have a drink.
You want to go ahead and grab me one? There's a couple of burrs right up there.
Yeah, they're cold.
Yeah.
Since you're cold.
Well, while he does that, we'll go ahead and... I'm sorry. I'm sorry. You're right there.
The guy has one
bigger
hip.
arms. Get a little... I know he does have one hit.
Sincerely.
Está difícil para Big Mike, white guy.
But yeah, Happy New Year.
Yeah, you were up in Seattle. The context of Big Mike it comes from your trip up in Seattle. We were asking you if you were now a member of the 12th man as a Seahawks fan there, and
I gave a pretty eloquent response.
you did, but
I said
your
no.
punctuation. Oh yeah, you said no, and then you responded back with Big Mike in capital letters and then lowercase white guy, and so it seemed like you were saying that you are now that you're given name for being a 12th man because like you change your name. It's like your God-given name. You know, you're now Big Mike, white guy, as a member of the 12th man.
Big Mike.
I think the text we're missing in between was that I was saying, "Oh, I'm not a part of the 12th man, but I'm
Don't
cheering
believe you.
for these certain guys in fantasy." Then came the Big Mike White guy because I had to start Mike White.
We know you're white.
But you are correct. The punctuation would lead one to believe that I was introducing myself as Big Mike
White guy.
White guy.
There you go.
Way to be specific.
Yeah, I just thought I'd really work out the kinks on that one, but yeah, I am a big white guy.
Yeah. So new year, new you, or new year, same you? That's like the thing,
I
right?
guess to be determined. I feel pretty
TBD.
I feel pretty similar to the guy I was last year, but I tell you what, this year is going to be filled with a lot of new things and changes,
Yeah.
major, huge changes in my life, which I am embracing and looking forward to.
You're going to be Mr. Popinga.
I am. It was pretty funny. My my mom sent us I think it's a cutting board. It's a wooden block that looks like a cutting board, but it's like engraved with Braxton and Jarrah established 9/23/2023. And then it just in big letters across the middle says the Tanners.
The Tanners.
And
have you not had that full conversation?
well, we have.
yet? Yeah.
We have. And she said she's going to keep her last name. She doesn't know if she's going to change it right away, but she definitely we've agreed that this is the Tanner family, like our kids are going to be Tanners, and there's still a possibility that she would change her name. She just doesn't.
Is hyphenating an option?
That's too long. That's way too long of a last name.
Popinga Tanner?
I mean, can you imagine the jerseys?
Yeah, I know.
Pop Tans.
Pop
The
Tans.
Pop Tans?
The Pop
No.
Tans.
But it was one thing. I mean, I don't know. Yeah, we don't need to get so deep into this, but yeah. So it was just kind of funny because I can see how we're gonna start getting this stuff, and it's gonna be the Tanners, and
Was that your first official wedding gift?
it was
Technically?
it was a Christmas gift. So no, I guess not. But yeah, it's gonna be a big year. But Seattle was a ton of fun. The football game was a ton of fun. A lot of good food, great friends, good drinks, and lots of them. Dancing.
Did you
grooving.
connect with the Russell Wilson chanter? Has he come up with a new chant?
No.
No new
No.
chant from our Russell Wilson guy. Huh?
He's been stuck at home trying to figure out something new.
He's just screaming from the top, Drew Lock. I worked out this morning before work. New
You
Year's
did?
resolution. No, I didn't. Get the fuck out of here.
Oh, God.
You think I'm one of those people?
You went to bed at 11 on New Year's Eve. Maybe you're trying to change a little bit, you know?
Yeah.
That's just me being tired. times have changed.
Oh, goodness.
This wasn't a Ron Tom's NYU.
I know Pete's a big New Year's resolution guy.
I'm trying to stop like fidgeting.
Yeah, stop picking at yourself.
Yeah, I'm just kind of a bit of a fidgeter, so I'm trying
Well,
to
there's a
limit
big
the fidgets.
first step is stop doing meth.
Yeah, I
That
should probably
is-
stop doing
Have
all
you
of
you
that.
didn't think
Yeah.
about that?
Answer
it
the
would
question.
save money as well. Yeah,
Yeah.
so we'll do that.
Yeah.
Update: I'm not taking narcotics anymore. I'm off the narcotics for my mouth. So
You got the surge?
yeah. So
You got the surgery?
No, it's just
It's
that
just
that
fixed
I'm
itself?
not infected anymore.
Oh,
so
there you go.
Good.
So, but yeah, so we rang in the new year here. It was pretty low key. Why not? No fireworks really to be spoken of. Similarly to this town in the UK, which had to cancel their annual fireworks celebration, as to not disturb a sleeping walrus. Very courteous that there was what does it say? Town decided on Saturday to postpone its New Year's firework display to avoid distressing Thor the walrus.
Wake that motherfucker up. It's New Year's Eve.
Yeah. So anyway, I mean, it was out of advice of the British Divers Marine Life Rescue. Arrival of Thor in the harbor. There were concerns that they would distress the mammal. So they, they were probably in
Lit walrus talk.
what probably had happened was that they didn't plan on doing a New Year celebration. Someone forgot to put in the order. Press it was in the carts, but they didn't do the buy now.
So they blame it
So
on the
they're
walrus.
like, hey, go grab that walrus from the zoo and just plop him
it
down
was
on
convenient
the
that they
beach.
didn't have to do it. So
There's got to be a security camera of a fucking F-350 just transporting a walrus.
with a walrus driving it.
yeah.
I'll pretend I'm asleep.
Pretend that I'm asleep.
Don't worry, Greg. I got you, buddy.
So
Lit.
Thor the walrus stopped the New Year's festivities.
Fuck
So-
gave him a name.
I don't know. I mean, maybe he was well known to the community.
His mother.
His walrus mother,
Mrs. Russ.
Mrs. Russ. Well, okay, so you didn't work out. You didn't, so you had me on that. But have you ever considered a new sport?
Got him.
I'm wondering if you've ever considered a new sport. And it
quaffing?
is-
Sepak takraw.
Let me see if I can find the video. Oh, this is the wrong Hold on.
Schmacky
Is
sack.
it the quaffling or whatever?
No.
Because there's a new sport that I want to introduce you guys to.
Slap ball or what's that thing with the trampoline?
Slam ball?
No, you have the trampoline and you're bouncing the ball against
Oh,
it.
right.
Slap ball.
The trampoline and you're bouncing.
There's a mini trampoline and you're surrounding it, and then you're bouncing the ball, and people are having
Spike ball.
Spike ball.
Yeah. No, the one that I was talking about was actually extend to desktop. There you go. What I was talking about was Carjitsu.
Okay, round 2 underway, and it looks like Ray gets the jump on Davidson again.
Who hasn't
Ray
done that?
This
already
is a
all over
legitimate,
Davidson.
like
Davidson's
these guys,
trying
for
to
the
get out of
people
there.
who are
He's
listening.
fighting
There
hands
are
with that
two
front
men
headlock. That's the
who were
go-to
sitting
for
in the
Ray.
driver's seat and the
That front
passenger seat,
headlock
and
is
they have
ready.
now
That guillotine,
began
but there's not a
fighting
lot of room to
inside
work
the car.
inside
Not
the
throwing
car.
punches, but more like wrestling.
Yeah, like
And
a
it's called
grappling session.
grappling.
Okay,
It's now
Davidson's making a little bit of space here
Carjitsu.
for himself. He's laid down the passenger side seat, but in the
don't know, there's
process,
a And
there's
he's got himself
commentary.
tangled up in the seatbelt. So the seatbelt is the worst enemy of Q Davidson in this match
Yeah,
tonight.
even wearing-
They're
they-
even wearing the
Velvet's now
uniform.
trying-
Yeah, they're
David-
sponsored. Look at that. They've got sponsors and everything. There's like points. There's like season points and match points. There's a 3-minute timer. Carjitsu is all the rage right
Why
now.
not do it in the
so
van for more room?
It's good.
I think the less room is kind of the point.
Yes.
I got a karate kick. Got a roundhouse.
So I also came across a new sport that I legitimately think our group of friends in our current state of physical greatness
Would actually be
could
good at.
compete in and win.
All right. And this is
I don't know how to pronounce it. Gelande Quaffing?
Gelande Quaffing.
Sponsored by PBR.
Okay, so you're sliding
Yes.
you're sliding beer and you're catching it for points.
Yeah,
Is
so
that ice?
so it's an ice table
Like okay.
and you have a team of 4 and one person starts at the end. You have to be 2 feet away from the board and you have to catch the beer after it comes falling off the table, essentially.
Oh, I love that.
And then once you get to a final round, there's like style points. You can see people in this video
Look at
like,
that trophy.
doing like 360s or catching the beer under their leg. And then you can't go back to the other end of the line until you finish your beer. And they
Nice.
can't start sliding the next one until you finish
Until
it.
you finish your beer.
And
Is there a local community of this?
there isn't, but I feel like Portland is the type of town that would definitely gather around for this type of event.
Yeah, I think we do well.
But it's very specific to like resort towns and ski towns.
Sun River, here we come.
But I think that we could do very well.
Maybe we start it. And it needs to have the atmosphere like this atmosphere had in the darts championship. This was by far the most electric atmosphere. It is, I don't know how points go in darts, but you have to get a specific amount. And you have to get the exact amount. This was in the 2023 World Championship Final darts match on Sky Sports, and the atmosphere was incredible.
Got to find a breaker throw in this set if he wants to level up the World Championship Final.
3 triples.
Michael Van Gerwen isn't in any mood to give him a sniff.
Yeah, the combination finishing.
Look at how many people are there.
It's going to be key. You can
It's
tell
a
by the way
heavyweight
they're
fight.
scoring, there may be nothing in it. They may both be on 9s. Michael may miss and Michael may hit.
These guys are so
They're
good.
both on 9s. They're both on a 9. This is insane.
Darts after darts, literally.
Wow, the World Championship Final. Michael Van Gerwen is on a 9 darter in the World Final and just
This
misses
guy for the
Just
win.
missed it.
Over to
This
you,
guy for the
Michael
win.
Smith.
For the win
One
for
man
Smith.
misses, does the man get? I've never seen the like. Come on, Spolly boy. Yes, double 12. That is the most amazing.
God damn.
That is the most amazing thing I've ever seen.
You know how hard that is?
Look at these guys. It's unreal. They won the
Super
World Cup.
I've heard that dart competitions are
Wild.
wild.
Let's go to one. I spit everywhere on that one.
There's one that they do in New York City that is just absolutely nuts. Like everybody, it's like tradition to get a big group of people together and you like all dress in the exact same thing. Like you have a costume theme. Like a lot of people do onesies and stuff. But it's all about getting drunk and just fucking loving darts.
For the love of darts.
For the
I would
love of
love to go
darts.
to one.
For the love of darts.
I definitely think that because obviously we've gone to football games and in other different events, and I think that those are all fun. But I do think that we should start getting into the more obscure, where we can
Curling.
yeah, like where we can get in as a podcast and really start to support these dart players or whatever.
I
it
say
may
we
be.
start with dodgeball.
Yes, whatever it may
Dodgeball
be.
competitions are fucking nuts.
Okay.
Whatever it may be.
Can I throw in bocce?
I mean, I don't know how interesting talking to 85-year-old men all day would be.
But they're all Italian and they all love wine.
I didn't shit my pants today.
These guys are no joke. These guys are like not only professional bocce players, but professional shit talkers as well. I really enjoy my time when I actually do play bocce with these guys.
Where you go down to King City?
Club Paisano out in Gresham,
Summerfield,
actually.
55.
Yeah.
Charbonneau.
Yeah.
Oh.
There's a whole club. Shout out Club Paisano. Paisano. I'll get it right.
Paisano?
Yeah.
I mean, that makes sense that there's a lot of Italians there.
Mm-hmm.
Italians.
Mario Pompei.
Oh,
Are you just saying the
No,
most
I mean,
Mario
Italian
Pompei is related to.
No, he's my friend. You've probably met him. He was at the
Oh, I
wedding.
thought it was family.
No, he's essentially family.
Mario Pompei has got to be the fakest Italian name.
Here, I'll
I've
show
ever
you.
exists.
Here, I'll
I
show
believe
you.
it.
I'll
I
show you
believe
a
it,
picture of it,
but
of
it's
him
like
right now.
it's like a 90s movie where they have to flee the country. And they're going to Italy. What will you call yourself, darling? Mario Pompei.
Pompei. Mario. Pompei.
Oh, we're on the IJMS channel. 1 second. Let's switch this in.
Pompei.
You're going to see him and you're going to be like, this guy is the most.
He cooks a mean ragu.
He does. He's got great meatballs.
Oh.
Mario Pompei.
Pause.
Let's
Get
see.
it?
I don't even know what he looks like.
You don't? You
Mario.
met him.
I think I have.
It's a me. A Mario.
Here.
Does he look like a Mario Pompei?
Oh yeah, he does.
You don't
Mario,
fuck with that
you
guy.
son of a bitch!
Yeah.
I wanna smoke a cigar and have a nice glass of wine.
He
with
loves
that
cigars, yeah.
Guy. Yeah,
He
I
loves
bet he
cigars.
does. He's wearing an Italian shirt too, with his name on it.
Yes.
That's
yes,
how you
yes.
know. He's
How many
real deal.
Ferrari jackets does he have?
I think at least 7, and he drove a Ferrari one time in his 30s.
It was a rental from.
It was his
Turo.
It was his buddy's uncle's.
Mario's the greatest. Sold him Cutco.
Did Mario buy a lot?
Oh, yeah.
Well, he loves to cook.
Okay, thanks Mario for joining the show.
Yep.
We're just gonna stare at you for
Yeah.
the next 15
No,
Can we,
minutes.
doing
please,
it.
can we
Mario.
please get this taken down?
Yeah. Mario, very.
Just cover his face.
I've got a follow-up. I have a follow-up from here. We'll say goodbye to you for now, Mario.
Oh, this is okay.
I have a follow-up to some fake death news.
Oh God,
I
Peter,
tried
you
it,
did
guys.
it.
I tried
Let's
it.
see it.
After we had a discussion on how terrible this is, you just decided
I
to
did.
continue on with it.
I thought, and I have my wife's video. I have a different video, but my phone, which is being used for the podcast, has a different video on it as well. So I'm not sure if this one captures everything. I tried to fake death news. My mother-in-law, Chris Yard, with Tom Hanks as being the one, because that would be the
Not Woody.
most devastating news.
So
for
she's
her.
a big Tom Hanks
Big
fan.
Tom Hanks
Okay.
fan. All right, let's see if we can hear it and capture it.
Tom Hanks died. No, he did not.
Yes, he
No,
did.
10 days.
Tom Hanks
No,
just died.
This is the thing. I saw this.
You do it? Start it.
This is the thing. I saw it. And okay, so I had a black and white photo that looked like he had died, right? I was just like, oh my gosh. Like, they always throw in the in memoriam black and white photo. Tom Hanks just died. So the reason why she knew that Tom Hanks did not die is she listened to last week's episode.
Oh,
God
Chris.
damn it!
Stop listening to my podcast, Chris.
You know how I know you're not a good liar? You have to back it up with some sort of proof that makes it even more
I know, I
non-believable.
sold it.
Here's a black and white photo of this individual. See, he's
It's
dead.
already pre-prepared.
He's dead.
It's
He's
Tom Hanks photoshopped with his eyes closed and cast away. Here's Tom Hanks. He's dead, but he found Wilson.
So anyway,
They buried him with Wilson. Actually,
my mother-in-law did
thanks, Chris.
listen. Is educated now that she listens.
Oh,
to the podcast,
goodness.
And,
well, thanks
was not
for
able
listening.
to fake.
Did she
death news.
slap the phone? Like, why did the phone drop?
I'm not exactly sure why the phone.
Like, why was there a huge commotion after you
Because
realized
she
that
felt
she
so
knew?
disrespected.
Yeah. Well, Lindsay was the camera person on this one. If that's why you're wondering, I think she got nervous.
Lindsay just dropped
Lindsay,
her
come on,
$1,000 phone.
commit to the content.
She did. Why are people so crazy when you crease your shoes? So again, fake death to creasing shoes. But I have a question about this. Why do sneakerheads get so angry at others when you crease your shoes?
Well, you don't get angry at others. You get angry at you don't do it because you're the one that would do it. If you're spending that much money on Jordans, you don't want to crease them.
But how do you not crease shoes when you walk in them?
Well, you can walk a certain way, which is not very natural or comfortable. But they make inserts that are like soft kind of plastic that go over your foot, and they're not very comfortable, but you can get them if you care about it. And that's the thing. I think it's different for everybody. I personally, I will try to be like nicer with my nicer shoes, but I just know eventually they're going to be creased. So it's like, okay, let's just get over it.
So your shoe comes untied. Your shoe comes untied. You have to. How do you tie your shoe? You have to You have to bend over and tie your shoe.
Yeah,
right?
that's what I'm saying. It's way more of a hassle. But if you are the type of individual who's like, hey, I have really expensive shoes, I just want to wear them a couple times and then I want to resell them for higher value, then yeah, I totally get why that makes sense.
I think you have to get your mind out of the shoes that you wear and how you treat your shoes, and think if you just spent $250 or $400 on a pair of Jordans, right? Because that's really the whole creasing thing usually is around Jordans.
Yeah.
So I personally have never worn the anti-creaser plastic. I don't do that. You don't get the bad crease from walking. Now, if you really cared about a specific pair, there's people I know that if you cared about even getting the smallest amount of crease, you just don't wear them. For shoes,
just don't wear them.
Just don't wear them. They usually have them as display or something to show off. If you're gonna wear shoes, you have accepted that you're gonna get a small amount of crease from walking. Now, bending over or tiptoeing is completely different. That's when you see the people that are like proposing or whatever, and they take it off.
The guy that part of the reason why I bring this up is the 76ers guy who proposed to his cheerleader girlfriend.
Yeah.
He was wearing like really nice sneakers, and then like people started lambasting him for creasing his shoes by proposing.
When you have a major crease, it's not something that you can just fix with that. Because for some of my shoes,
worn in at that.
For some of my shoes, when I take it off, I put that thing in just to get it back to where it was. But you're still not going to get rid of the normal crease that you get from walking in them.
Yeah, and there's things you can do. You can steam them or like put a hot towel on them and then like iron them. That will help get rid of the crease. But again, it's really if you are in the mindset of like, hey, these are a high value item to me. I plan on reselling them or keeping them at the value that they are. That's the only reason that you would be like really, really concerned about it.
Also, you would note like you would never, for real sneakerheads, you would never have the concern or the issue of what happens when you tie your shoe. Most people don't tie them. You knot them outside.
Gotcha.
And you tighten it enough where it doesn't go through the hole, and you don't have the laces tied where they come undone. You just have them on the side.
Yeah, it's just I don't think it's your thing.
It's no, it's not.
Yeah, I think the only thing that I could compare is like imagine if you got like a $500 pair of like really, really nice, clean, shiny dress shoes. Like imagine how a big crease across the middle of those dress shoes would look. Like you wouldn't want to be taking those on walks. You wouldn't want to be doing, jumping around on the trampoline in those. You would want to reserve those specifically for, very nice events and do everything you can to keep those on.
It's like
probably the same mentality.
Having a pair of like Jordan 11s cool grays that you spent $300-$400 on is the same as having like Ferragamo dress shoes that you wouldn't do that in.
I just don't think that you buy the shoes and like don't wear them.
Yeah, and a lot of like hardcore sneakerheads, they'll buy multiples of a pair of shoe so they can have one to sell or a couple to sell and then one that they wear.
That makes more sense to me.
Yeah.
So I think you just take it to what's familiar to you.
Sure. I mean, this is like I am now like resigning myself to buying like fashionable but workout. Okay, I've got these on. I wonder if I can do this. I'm going to show the camera here. Boom. High tops. Look at those. Columbia sportswear.
Those are hiking
It's got
shoes.
Yeah, but they're like work boots, but they're also kind of like fashionable, are they not? They look fine, right?
They're good.
This is uncomfortable. Can I get okay. Ow.
Honestly, I can see what you're saying. When you're looking down at them like I am now, they do look like more athletic type casual shoes.
But boom, tread.
But from the side and bottom, those are some hiking boots.
Those are hiking boots.
I think
but they're not they don't have heft, they don't have weight.
Unless you're into shoes, it's really hard to understand how sneakerheads view or treat their shoes.
$50, by the way.
You just take it to what you spend money on. So there's people that you have a lot of tools for the house.
Sure.
Saws and all that shit. There's people that like oil and fucking clean their tools after every use.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So there, it's like whatever you're interested in, there's certain things that you buy that's expensive and you treat it a different way.
Yeah.
Or like, you buy this big ribeye roast, and
And then you just, you look at it. If it looks too good, you don't cook it. You stare at that motherfucker for
that
a
what
while.
you did?
Thank you-
me?
Thank you for bringing up the ribeye roast. That really hit the spot for me.
I was just Miguel was like trying to make it comparable to you, and so
okay.
I was just going for the ribeye roast.
And then it hit all of us.
All right.
And then imagine it's like somebody has this beautiful ribeye roast. They start cutting all the fat off of it. They're prepping the microwave for this thing. It's like you just don't do that. You know what I mean?
Did that make you cringe? Because that
It
made
did.
me
Don't put the microwave. But then for a second, I'm like, wait, are we saying something I did? But I didn't do that.
No,
I'll
you
never
didn't
do
do
that.
that.
I'm not an animal.
You didn't do that.
You know who are animals? Are the people who decided to snub my girl Celine Dion from the top 200 list on Rolling Stone magazine. It's bullshit.
Top 200 list for what?
Singers.
What
Yeah.
singer, like in general, like greatest singers of all time?
Here's the question: who's number 200?
Hold on. Let me get this up.
Because that's gonna make this real easy.
Not in the greatest 200 singers category. Hold on. Where's the list? Where's the list? Where's the list? Top 200 Rolling Stones singers.
I want to know the bottom 5. Give us the bottom 5.
Yeah. 96.
And then
to
I'll give
200.
you my opinion after you tell me the bottom 5.
All right. Number 200. Rosalia.
Okay.
Number 199. Glenn Danzig.
Okay.
0 for 2.
Yep.
Don't know who they are.
198. Billie Eilish.
Ooh. Over Celine?
197. Burna Boy.
Okay.
196. Paul Westerberg.
Okay.
And 195. Polystyrene.
And who came up with this list?
Rolling
Stone magazine. And so let's go ahead and put this up there. The fact is that number 1, do you have any guesses of who number 1 is?
Is this dead or alive?
Dead or alive, correct.
Then I would say like Whitney.
Whitney is 2.
Okay.
Michael Jackson?
Michael Jackson.
Michael Jackson or Prince?
Prince is number 16. Michael Jackson not in the top 20.
Okay, then I don't.
Then you don't respect this list.
No, the list doesn't make any fucking sense.
I'm trying to think who number 1 would be.
You would get it. She's a
Alive or dead?
dead. She is a diva.
Cher?
No.
Is alive. Aretha Franklin? Tina Turner?
Aretha Franklin. Aretha Franklin, number 1. Whitney Houston, number 2. Sam Cooke, number 3. Billie Holiday, number 4. Mariah Carey, number 5. Ray Charles, 6. Stevie Wonder, Beyonce, Otis Redding, Al Green.
Oh.
Dude, regardless of how you feel about Michael Jackson, the fact that you have Sam Cooke.
I think
Michael
that's the
Jackson-
wrong example. Who
Yeah,
is number 4?
Number 4, once again, was
I mean,
Billie Holiday.
Yes, I get what you're saying. I could have chosen anyone out of the 200, but Michael Jackson to not even be on the list.
Yeah, and to put Freddie Mercury outside of the top 10.
Yeah, that's tough.
John Lennon out of the top 10. Frank Sinatra out of the top 10. Which
Boo.
But I mean, that's the thing. Like you're talking about an international icon who is a diva who has been dealing with a lot of shit recently with her stiff person disease or syndrome or whatever. So you'd think that like that would be at least something. Anyways,
I mean,
you don't matter. Whatever, we're talking about it. I feel like we've brought up Rolling Stone stuff before and we haven't liked it. So
they're wrong.
We're not even going to.
They have a bunch
of.
They probably have a bunch of new employees that don't even know who Celine is. They're all like younger people.
Yeah.
So, you know what? I was gonna fuck with you and side with them until you told me until you told me that Burna Boy is on the motherfucking list.
Yeah, I don't know about all that. What about I just had a name in my head. Toni Braxton.
She better be on there.
Oh, let me look at Tony. I don't have the list up anymore. Wait, hold on. I can find it.
You son of a bitch.
I'm over the list. The list is not.
Yeah.
Tony.
Not respected from my end.
I'm not immediately seeing Toni Braxton, but this list is weird.
Burn that list.
So, Tony.
We'll come up with our own list. Send it to them.
Yeah.
And Celine will be number 1.
No,
Celine will be number 1.
She'll be on the 200, but
she'll be on. How about top 150?
Okay, fine. That's
she'll
fair.
be on the list.
It reminded me of, the promo that we had from last season when we were at the Chargers game. I am a lifelong Celine Dion fan, and I'm not sure exactly the context of how this all happened. So they said, hey, if you know this song, sing along.
Open the door, and you're here in my heart. My heart will go
That was 4 hot dogs deep at this point.
Oh, you play the rest of that song! You play the rest of that song!
And they started playing conga like a bunch of assholes. How dare they? How dare they
You don't
play?
like conga?
I love conga.
Not in place of Titanic.
Yeah. Which I'm surprised you know conga, given your lack of affinity for Gloria Estefan songs.
Listen.
Yeah, why are you such a Gloria hater?
Yeah, why you don't glorify Gloria?
I think I'm a little young.
Hmm.
It's a little out of my age range. And I still won't give up on the fact that the clues you gave me, also, the possible answer could have been Gwen Stefani.
I don't even remember the conversation at this point.
There's a trivia thing, I think.
Yeah, I knew her first name started with G, and then the clue you gave me was the best shooter in the NBA's first name.
Could one of the clues have been her last name starts with an S? Estefan. Fucking idiots.
Yeah. If you come at me with archived IJMS, you better be correct.
Estefan.
Because I won't remember.
Because I won't remember. And I will need your help. I will need your help.
Oh, goodness. Well, I do agree, Pete. Celine should have been on there.
Thank you.
Be expecting the
Thank
IJMS top 200 within the next 7 years. We will get that out
within
as soon
the
as
next
possible.
7 years.
We know that you guys are.
We know that you're also looking for our picks from season 2, episode 14. But
number 7 on that list, guaranteed Natalie Imbruglia.
You think?
I know it's our list.
It's
what do you mean? I
don't know. I can approve that.
It's our list.
Torn. I'll have you listen to it.
She might have to be a little bit lower on there because Natalie Imbruglia's song was the one that dethroned Celine's "My Heart Will Go On" in the top 40s, supplanted "Torn" from Anyways,
"Torn's" a great song.
It is a good song. I know. I couldn't even be mad at it. It's a good song.
Torn, I'm a little late. This is how I feel.
I know when you're a kid, and then she was like,
thanks.
Yeah. That she's lying naked on the floor. You're just like,
oh, boner.
Boner alert.
Full on chubby.
Were there any songs that would make you horny when you listened to them, like growing up?
Oh.
Living La Vida Loca.
The music video, maybe. Isn't he like trapped in like a phone booth with a bunch of hot chicks? Stronger, similar with Christina Aguilera, where she's just like in a boxing ring and she's like
actually, serious answer.
Waiting for Tonight.
Well, same artist. One of the videos I jerked off to the most when I was like 13 was "If You Had My Love" by Jennifer Lopez.
Oh, sure.
She was like in a yoga studio. Legs and
Legs.
all of them.
Okay, but what about not the video?
No, I'm saying the song. So whenever I hear the song,
'Cause
it
you
takes
would
me
think of
back
the
to the
video.
video,
Yeah.
and it's
Got you.
it's a full-on jerk sesh. No matter where I'm at.
I will admit that the first time, and this is definitely going to age me, the first time I heard Fantasy by Ludacris,
Oh, sure.
I was like, oh my God, these are all the
Lick,
places
lick, lick, lick you from your head
Yeah.
to your
we can have
toes.
sex
Song,
in the
song.
Atlanta
And I wanna
area.
move from the bed down to the flow.
And I wanna
You make so good, I don't want to leave, but I gotta know what you're fated to see. I wanna
I want to get you in the George Dome.
or
the
red
50-yard
light,
line.
red light special by TLC.
Yeah.
Mm.
What about Who Let the Dogs Out?
Oh yeah, that's when I'm pooping. Pre-jerk sesh.
Yeah,
Oh,
horned
goodness.
up.
Great song,
Sports,
Baja Boys.
which is about ugly chicks.
Rude.
I mean, isn't it?
You're not supposed to say it out loud,
Oh,
dude.
my
Jesus
bad.
Christ.
The dogs are the ugly ones.
Yeah,
We don't know him.
Sports.
We don't know him.
Yeah. Speaking of things that you shouldn't say,
I just picture us being in a bar and the fucking song is playing and Peter just yells out, "This is about ugly chicks."
Hey, this is about the ugly ones.
Oh, goodness.
See her? No, not her.
Ma'am, this song is about you.
You hear that?
No, ma'am, you, the one whose face is in shambles. This song, you.
Get out.
Oh, goodness. Peter, yeah.
Speaking of things that you shouldn't be saying, talking about, all women are lovely, is this man by the name of, hold on, I'll get back out of that.
Talk about dogs.
Gary Hahn. He is the, maybe was at this point, football broadcaster for NCSU, playing in the Sun Bowl over the holiday. Not sure what prompted this, but here are his comments.
Face?
It's the Sun Bowl. And amongst all the illegal aliens down in El Paso, it's UCLA 14 and Pittsburgh 6. That's with 11:15 to go in the second quarter. Let's go to the sidelines. Tony Haynes.
Well, NC State, not a lot of depth in the secondary.
Amongst all the illegal aliens in the Sun Bowl. Like, what?
Why would you say that? This motherfucker.
Yeah, he was suspended
Let's go to
indefinitely.
Tony Hines down on the field.
I'm going to go ahead and drop some veiled racism and then act like nothing happened.
Oh, God. That face screams, I'm a racist.
It kind of does, right?
It looks like he could be a character in Horton Hears a Who.
I feel like that guy
In
would
a
be
bad
nice.
way.
Yeah. Just like a little bit pointier nose, maybe.
Yeah.
That guy would be nice to me if I was doing his yard work. But if I'm not there for that, he's going to lash
Hey,
out.
when's that illegal alien going to be coming back and cutting our shrubs?
Yeah, fuck that guy.
Yeah.
Fuck him.
Make you want to move to El Paso?
Very rude. Suspended indefinitely. Who knows if he'll come back from that.
He done.
He was hearing all the coaches getting paid for not having a job, and he figured maybe that's the same. That's true for analysts.
Yeah, he's close enough.
He's like, will they pay me to not work?
Mm.
Let me get myself out.
Well, you know what else needs to be canceled is Major Tuddy. Did you guys see Major Tuddy this weekend?
I did.
Major Tuddy, the new mascot for the Washington Commanders.
He canceled?
Is this?
No.
No.
He should be, though.
He should be. Let's go ahead and look up this fat pig. Literally, it just is a fat pig.
Why'd they go with a pig for Commanders?
They claim that it has something to do with their heritage or something, but it has kind of like a military type of a vibe, but very much like a guy who drinks too much beer and yells about sports vibe. So it looks like us, but
what? I think you need to fire your marketing person for this shit. If that's what they came up with.
So they used to have this offensive line that they called the Hogs. And so for a while, the back then Redskins referred to the team as the Hogs or the Red Hogs. In fact, that's why during the renaming of the team,
Red Hogs was an option.
was one of the options.
Gotcha.
And they probably were getting close to doing Red Hogs, and they were like, well, let's see mascots and stuff. And then they probably saw that and were like, oh, that's probably not a good idea. We shouldn't do Red Hogs. And then they went with Commanders, realized how much that sucked. Dan Snyder's a piece of shit. And they're like, hey, we should go get that costume out of the closet that we had. Maybe that'll get the people going.
Sounds like a Snyder move.
Because, like, you can't necessarily have or, like, make, like, uniform stuff. Like, you can't, like, dress that down a little bit. I mean, for military's sake,
Yeah.
right? So you have to be, like, kind of fun with it. And you're not going to, like, make fun or have fun with military garb.
Yeah. I mean, it's kind of funny. I think that it will create a lot of comedy in the future. But the best part is when they were cutting to people in the stands, of which there were very few, and they had given out these little pig noses. So there would just be these grown men with these pig noses, like slamming beers and eating hot dogs, and I can get behind that.
Yeah.
I can get behind that.
That is fine.
Which, again, I know we talked about it before we started recording. Shout out to Chase Wild, attorney at law, for his...
was that a post?
Yeah, it was like a Facebook
story.
reel or an Instagram story. He has a treat yourself, and it's a picture of 3 hot dogs, bunless, slathered in ketchup and mustard.
I don't even need to know what brand those dogs were. They look like quality beef dogs.
They look like good dogs.
Posted that to the world, and I don't know what he did to earn.
Sometimes you just got to treat yourself.
Sometimes you just got to treat
That's
yourself.
it.
And Chase Wild, attorney at law.
respect that.
And I would assume that he ate those with his fingers. I'm going to have to call and confirm.
Finger dogs?
I would not surprise me if he fingered those puppies down.
And then, like, your fingers will smell like ketchup for, like, hours. It'll penetrate those pores.
Yeah, I don't know if you've heard of this, though. There's actually, like, these things called sinks, and a lot of times they have soap, and you can, like, wash your hands, and the things that are on your hands are then off your hands.
But it will penetrate your pores.
Ever heard of penetration?
I guess I haven't. Not like this.
Do you think that post kind of is directed towards us?
I don't know.
We did have a long hot dog conversation from the New York trip.
And it just took him about 3 months to get around to
maybe he
eating
made the hot dogs like, oh, I'm going to post this for everyone to see, but really he was hoping that we would see it because we were talking about them visiting the hot dog carts. And
also, I did message him when I saw it.
Did he? What was his reaction?
And I said, this reminds me of the first time we ever met. And I just said, Happy New Year. And he laughed and said that he missed me.
Did he say LOL or ha-ha?
Multiple ha-has. I think it was
with
ha,
spaces.
Ha, 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 ha.
Ooh, that's a lot of ha-has.
You know that was
ha-has.
funny then. Yeah.
Yeah.
He didn't tee-hee you.
No, he would never. He's an attorney at law.
Yeah.
He means business. Could you imagine ripping a tee-hee in the courtroom?
You text the judge.
Your Honor, respectfully, tee.
If I may.
If I may.
But
I need to see myself out to tee real quick.
But yeah, quite the victory meal for old Chase Wild there.
I respect it.
Quite the victory this past weekend for both the TCU Horned Frogs and the Georgia Bulldogs. Both Georgia and Michigan, big favorites. And we finally got some good games, boys.
I was going to say, give a quick shout-out for how many times we've said that the playoff games and the bowl games have been shit, and we got a lot of good ones.
My goodness.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that TCU-Michigan game, that back and forth was fucking crazy.
Yeah, it was nuts.
That felt like just just taking blows one by one by one. It was just like, who was going to finally get a stop?
I watched every single bowl game because I didn't do shit this weekend. And you kind of find yourself, if you don't have a dog in the fight, it's like, I mean, to be honest, I don't give a shit about the Pac-12. I'm not sitting here going, oh, I want the Pac-12. Like, if Pac-12 went 6-0, cool.
Yeah.
But, USC, you kind of go back and forth. And it was pretty cool to see Tulane just fucking come back.
Yeah, I kind of liked that.
They keep like panning the camera over to Caleb Williams, and he's sitting there like out of his hands and
can't do anything
they
about it.
fucked up on that punt, and then all of a sudden it's a 6-point game. They score a touchdown, and it was fucking like that. The Rose Bowl, the TCU Michigan game, the Georgia game. It was
like the Holiday Bowl as well.
More than we asked for, just to not have blowouts. They were incredible bowl games.
Yeah, and if we go back to the Michigan game, you think about like the quote unquote self-inflicted wounds that Michigan had. It was just like, error after error on their parts, pick sixes, just like everything in between, where you think about like the points that were scored off of that, we'd be singing a different tune here if we don't have
it's
those.
Such a bad look on Harbaugh.
Oh,
like his team just seems to fall apart in big games. And you'd like to think like coaching has something to do with that. It has to. Like he just in the NFL and in big bowl games, he falls apart. What is it?
Well, I will say in this game though, the not calling that touchdown, having that fumble at the 1 yard line, huge, out of his control completely. I thought it was a touchdown. There was no part of me that did not think that was a touchdown because he like bobbled it, and then when
I agree, that was a
when
TD.
Had that possession in the end zone, and then you have the 2 pick sixes, which again, those are not coaching things. You can't control that. And so it's like, I think this is kind of one of, because 90% of the time I'm on your side. I don't think Harbaugh shows up in big games, but I don't know if you can put this one so much on his shoulders. I think this is one of the times where if he needed to, he could be like, hey, I mean, that was out of my hands. You take those 3 things away, that's a 21-point swing at least. And, that's a game that we win.
But wouldn't you say, and I don't necessarily disagree, I know that there's some stuff that's out of his hands, but part of being a coach, especially in college, you're not coaching prima donnas. You're coaching kids. And part of that is coming back on those bad calls and how do you address your team and their mental state and how to respond to that. And that's where he comes in. As an experienced head football coach coaching 19, 20-year-olds, I feel like after that touchdown that was called back, that's when you have to rally your team. Like, you got to move on past that. You got to have a short memory.
Yeah, and there were a lot more that followed after that, too.
Yeah, absolutely. So, yeah,
I'd crumble.
Obviously, the expectation and pressure on the coach in college football is incredibly high, and that doesn't necessarily change. But yeah, and I think on top of this, kind of the icing on the cake is last year we had a conversation about him leaving college. He had that possible interest in Detroit, I believe.
The Vikings.
Oh, or Minnesota.
Yeah.
And that didn't really, end up coming together for him. And he made a statement after that, hey, you know what, I'm not going to look for these types of things anymore. I'm committed. I'm a Michigan man. This is, what I'm going to do. And as soon as that game was over, I saw leaks about him possibly pursuing the NFL. If he gets offered, he's going to take it.
That it's like
that he's like, yeah, I'm done. And it's like,
I mean, it's kind of interesting at this point to question whether or not they're just playing the greatest hits here. That it's like he just makes an offer and then he's gone. You look at his buyout. His buyout's just $3 million. $3 million just like to pick it up and leave in his contract. So I mean, that's like an interesting one there where he can leave at any time and just give back $3 million. And I think that like that's a very favorable thing within his contract there. That it's not more.
It's just got to be tough when you're in the position where you're a powerhouse and nothing, your 10 or 11 wins doesn't matter. Because there's only, as a Michigan fan base, there's only 2 or 3 games you care about. You don't lose to Ohio State, and if you make it to the playoffs, you go all the way.
Mm-hmm.
So you can look at an 11-2 Michigan or 11-1 Michigan, and it's a failure of a fucking season.
Yeah,
because of that.
I mean, at this point, he's just inching he's inching closer to a goal. He's not actually accomplishing that, right? Like, he's beat Ohio State a couple years in a row. He's won the Big Ten championship a couple years in a row. And then he gets into this situation, and they got blown out last year, and then this year they lose that game that they were favored heavily to win in. So do you just say, like, is the goal still just to win that championship, or you go, again, Harbaugh is the type of guy who kind of wears out his welcome or gets bored at a certain place or rubs people the wrong way, and then he goes to the next thing and he resets the clock, right? That's what he does.
6 or 7 programs in the nation where it's championship or bust. Like, it's not going to be good enough. And kind of to that same point, that's why I wanted to bring up Alabama. Not as a Bama fan, no Roll Tide here, but Alabama went to the Sugar Bowl with 100% participation, which that's an NFL program. Mm-hmm. The fact that everyone played was fucking insane.
The fact that no one
sat out
for the NFL draft.
And they go and roll over whoever they were playing,
Kansas State, and they finish at 11-2, and that was a failure of a season for a program like Alabama. Yeah,
you crush the Sugar Bowl. You have 100% participation from Will Anderson, Bryce Young, and 11-2 just wasn't good enough.
Yeah,
it's like it just shows the magnitude of how they look at football over there. That 11 people would kill for 11-2.
Yeah, absolutely.
Just put me in a New Year's Bowl. That'd be great. And it's just this is like a season where they want to just sweep it under the rug. Like, let's forget about this season.
Yeah. And I think, kind of to your point, I think the only thing that Harbaugh has going for him, because I do think that Michigan wants him to continue coaching. I think the fan base is fairly pleased, but that's only because he's beaten Ohio State these last few years.
Right.
If
they were not pleased with him a couple of years ago.
Exactly. If he were getting to the playoff and losing to Ohio State,
he would have been gone.
He's done for. But I think right now that Michigan is crazy enough of a fan base where you're right that Ohio State game is like its national championship is 1A and then being Ohio State is 1B. They're so closely matched that as long as you can do one of them, they'll probably let you keep coming back. But I do agree. I think that it's kind of like Harbaugh, at least in his history, to see him kind of take that next step and kind of hit the refresh button and be like, okay, I need to kind of like restart and kind of, go from there.
The NFL's open if he wants it.
Yeah.
I think
he's somebody that would have a job in college should he fail again in the NFL.
Yeah,
absolutely.
He's fine. He can coach football at a high level for as long as he wants.
Not only that, but like if you look at established programs that may come open, like there's a lot of big programs that now have newer head coaches to where like, okay, like which one is going to come open in the next year or two if he wants to jump? There's not. I mean, I can't think of unless there's like a dramatic retirement or something like that. That you think about like the USCs of the world are established now with Lincoln Riley and such. LSU with Brian Kelly. Maybe it takes Marcus Freeman a couple of years to really fuck up in Notre Dame if he does, which he rebounded after this first season, but maybe Notre Dame comes open in a couple of years or something like that.
The thing is, though, Notre
then
Dame,
he has a job again.
Notre Dame also has a short fuse when it comes to coaches.
Oh yeah,
which was shocking with the fact that Brian Kelly stayed there forever. But if Marcus Freeman was given the benefit of the doubt this season, if he fails next season, he's gone. And the number one person they've been after for the last 10 years is Urban Meyer. He started his career there, and they want Urban there. And he's sat out long enough that if Marcus Freeman goes at the end of next season, they're going to go after Urban. They're going to go all in to try and pull Urban Meyer out of retirement
to me as well.
Coach them.
One thing I noticed watching these bowl games is the Rose Bowl game. Old Kyle Whittingham is getting old.
Yeah,
and he's one of the longer tenured coaches in college football. I am very curious what they do because Urban also has a history at Utah.
Utah.
Took
Yeah.
them through that undefeated season with Alex Smith. And so I'm curious to see who takes over that position, especially with the prominence that Utah has gained over these last 5 years.
Yeah, and I think that if you look at where the Pac-12 is trending, Utah in the South, when it was, divided between the two, was kind of rolling in the South. Now it's a little bit more competitive these days.
Yeah.
You think Utah
good old
wins that game
Pac-12.
had Rising not gotten hurt?
No.
I think Penn State still wins.
I think Penn State still wins.
I just thought the view of the Rose Bowl was so funny that, and I mean, naturally, Utah fans travel really well, and they happen to be really close. You know what I mean? But if you look at the Rose Bowl, there was a small section of white T-shirts.
Well, I think that they were trying to do like a whiteout, but it was just red and white. I mean, it was just Utah's
But I mean, it's
colors.
almost like they let a 5% of Penn State fans, and they just have this small corner, and it was all red.
I would have thought that Penn State traveled better, and maybe they did, and we just didn't see them.
I mean, that was essentially a home game for Utah.
Yeah,
that's quite that. I mean, that's almost the entire United States you're going across for a bowl game. But I would think they traveled better too.
They haven't been in a while. It's a Rose Bowl, which, by the way, Rose Bowl looked very weird this time around. Like
it was
I don't know
gloomy.
if it was very like I have covered or been to as a fan, I think 5 or 6 Rose Bowls, and every single time it is the perfect weather. It is the perfect atmosphere. Everything is right in the world at the Rose Bowl.
I mean, prior to kickoff, there were dark clouds around the Rose Bowl.
It was like this thing just like looming and just like
they kept doing drone shots, and it was like it was dark essentially, and then rain just started pouring.
Yeah, it was
That
really
is
weird,
crazy.
and maybe it was it was also rainy on the first, so I mean it wasn't like just because the game wasn't played on New Year's Day and that's the reason why, but it was just like it was so weird to see it like not perfect conditions at the Rose Bowl. It kind of turned me off to the game in a weird way.
I mean, the fact that it became
and then by
a
the
blowout.
end of the game, it turns into a blowout.
I mean, the thing is, the Rose Bowl was good in the first half, and that says a lot about the last 6 or 7 bowl games that we watched. Like, that was fairly competitive in the first half, 14-14, until Penn State just ran away with it.
Yeah.
And every other bowl game has been, like, neck and neck, where you're just biting your nails. Like,
right.
I was screaming at the TV watching the Georgia-Ohio State game, because you look at, if you've watched Georgia the last 2 seasons, they've never said, here's the ball, Stetson Bennett, you win the game for us. It's not him.
Yeah.
It's always been Georgia's defense bails you out, and Georgia's athletes, they just get him the ball and let him take care of it.
Yeah.
And it's like they were having Stetson Bennett do it, and I'm like, dude, this is not how you're gonna win. Like, he's not C.J. Stroud. And then he just fucking rose like the phoenix.
Yeah, he balled out.
Stetson balled out in the fourth.
But the thing is that I'm not sure that Kirby Smart was like super excited about how Stetson Bennett performed in that game, because you saw it after the fact. I'm trying to find the quick interview here, but I'm not seeing it. Is like basically Kirby Smart saying that like, yeah, like he pulled through, but he needs to learn to work within the confines of our system. I think that Kirby Smart was suggesting that good old Stetsy was freelancing a little bit, or that he was playing outside of what the Georgia Bulldog way was in a way.
He didn't play well in the first 3 quarters. He didn't. He was all over the place in the first 3 quarters. That's why I was saying, like, don't leave it up to him to win the game. And then somehow something clicked, and in the fourth, he was accurate as fuck, and he was making good decisions. He had 3 dimes in the fourth quarter that got him 2 scores out of that. And that, because the first, he did not look good. He was all over the place. He was like 3 of his. There was the second series in the third quarter where, like, one series he had 8 throws. 5 of them could have been picks. And he just got lucky that they kept dropping it.
Well, and also this Ruggles guy, the kicker for Ohio State, had been fairly automatic within 50 yards, and this was like a 51-yarder, and it could not have been more of a shank. Like, there was at no distance was that ball going in. unless it was
never.
like from the 1 yard line. I don't even know. Like it.
I kept
took
watching it over and over. I didn't know if it was tipped or like. Why
I
was
don't
it so
think
bad?
it was. I think it just came off his foot weird, and it looked like my golf shot. It just took a hard left turn right out the gate.
Shanked it.
Yeah. And I am concerned a little bit with the reaction that not only Stetson gave to that missed kick, but the entire team. It was as if it was the national championship. They were crying. They were embracing. They were, it just seemed like there was an extra, and I get that. I've been in close football games, obviously not at this level, not even close. And there's that, when you're in a close game and you come out on top, that adrenaline, that excitement, it's one of a kind. But I think when you've gotten to that level, especially playing for a team like the Georgia Bulldogs, being a guy like Stetson Bennett, who's won a national championship, is in a position to repeat, you gotta act like you've been there a little bit more. Am I totally blind on this one? Or
no, I think especially from a national championship team.
Yeah. I get that, though, and I get the concern where you spent all your emotions and you might not come prepared for TCU. But honestly, I think those reactions that we saw, they did not expect the kick to not go in.
Yeah.
I think, honestly, they were mostly like running around and crying. They were in shock because I thought Ohio State was going to win that game.
Yeah, I think we all did. I thought I was going to be able to see that game happen, but I had given a coworker a login to my streaming account, and then right as the kick goes to happen, I got booted off of my streaming network, and then I missed the kick. So I was able to get back on, and
so you didn't cry?
I saw right before, it was just perfect how I was able to miss it and then get it back on, and then saw that they had missed it. So thanks for that.
It was funny. There was I heard some people who are on the East Coast who are complaining because the game was basically straddling the line of midnight.
Literally, it missed on midnight.
Exactly. And there was one guy who was like, I pay my Hulu Live TV subscription annually, and I didn't have it on it was set up to be done on the 31st. And so right before the kick, it was like, please submit your payment details. He's like, God damn it.
He's shaking, holding his card.
I can't get it. Yeah.
That's why you got to put your shit on auto pay, kids.
Yeah. Well, right now, Ohio State, the only team to lose in the new year in college so far.
Yeah. Wow. Good for them.
I needed that, though, because out of all our big bets, the $50 bets from each person, this is the only one I have a chance in winning.
Yeah, I didn't realize I had Ohio State. It was a long bet that we put at the beginning of the year, and that you were like, well, are you mad that Ohio State lost? And I'm like, I don't care. It was a good game. And he was like, well, you lost the bet. And I'm like,
Georgia wins
shit.
the Natty. I get 50 from each of you because I just keep looking at the NFL bets. I'm like, okay, so Tom Brady or Russell Wilson will not win the MVP.
No,
so
sir.
I'm out. And then the Bucks or the Rams will not win the Super Bowl. I mean, the Bucks are in, but still.
Bucks are in the playoffs.
And I have the Bills, right?
No.
I have the Bills and the Chiefs.
He has the Bills and the Chiefs. He probably has the best chance. You have
I stacked
the Chargers
the
and the Ravens.
Oh, gosh.
I stacked the AFC.
I think that's a 50, and then the MVP is a 20.
Right.
And who did I choose? Herbert?
You have Herbie and
Josh Allen. I thought I took a Bills thing for one of these.
I know I have Mahomes for one.
Peter has Mahomes for sure.
I had Mahomes and
I'm
Jonathan
pretty sure
Taylor.
I have Josh Allen.
I had Jonathan Taylor in there. And
you have Josh Allen and Justin Herbert.
Okay.
Peter has Mahomes and Jonathan Taylor.
Yep. Not so good on that one. If we look at what went up and down the NFL, the Bucs clinched the playoffs with a dramatic win over the Panthers. Yahoo on that.
You don't want to face Tampa Bay. What if they're peaking, man?
No, they're not.
What if they're peaking?
No, a team that honestly, who has kind of a bad record, but you wouldn't want to play. The Jaguars pretty darn good. Jags are 6-2 in their last 8 games. They're division champions now. Well, could be division champions. It looks like they're going to be with the Titans all injured and not playing any of their guys. The Dolphins continue to suck. They've lost now 5 games. You've got Teddy Bridgewater, who's now hurt his hand, and Tua's still out. The Giants clinching the playoffs with a dominant win over the Colts. And no one seems to want to win the number 1 overall seed in the NFC. The Eagles now losing again to the Saints.
Fuck, man.
And the Chiefs rebounding, or the Broncos rebounding nicely after firing good old Nathaniel Hackett. However, the Chiefs still won that game.
I think the Chiefs are honestly just toying with them. They're like just barely trying. Yeah. They're like, okay, they're up. We got to score. And they just scored right away. And it was like, oh, it's over.
Yeah. And then your Browns showing life, and actually,
let's go.
I thought it was interesting that
let's go
after the defeating the Commanders after the game. Ron Rivera saying like, "Oh, I didn't know that we were eliminated. I thought we were still alive in the playoffs. They lose. They're now out of the playoff contention." And
Riverboat Ron, my ass.
I
the Browns have a chance?
No.
Okay.
The Commanders did. If they would have won.
Yeah, if they would have won and then someone else lost, or even if the Packers had won, if the Commanders had won, the Packers would have been out. The Packers are just so far have everything going their way.
So we have
everything going their way.
We have no Thursday night football. We have 2 games on Saturday.
Correct.
And 14 on Sunday.
Correct.
And the most exciting one probably was the one that was flexed to Sunday night, because that has all the playoff implications surrounding it, which is Lions and Packers. So if the Packers win, they're in.
Correct.
Lions and Seattle out.
Correct.
If Detroit wins, Seattle's in.
Correct.
And so this is a lose-lose for Detroit. They're not in regardless, right?
Spoiler. I mean, I think that the ability to knock Aaron Rodgers out from an NFC North perspective is pretty...
That'd be their victory.
But I do think, I'm pretty
I
sure,
think
that the Lions can get in.
Yeah, where they win and Seattle loses.
Let's see, Lions...
If Lions win
that makes sense.
and Seattle loses, the Lions are in.
If
the Packers win, the Packers are in. If the Lions...
I'll tell you here. But there is probably, I think you're right. There's not a scenario in which the Lions are
But if
totally out of this.
if the Lions win and the Seahawks win, the Seahawks are in.
Who's Seattle play?
Seattle plays, I think, the 40... No.
Arizona? Because it's all division games
schedule.
Right now, right?
I think
the Seahawks play the Rams.
Oh.
The Rams. Okay, so let me see if I can get a Lions playoff picture here, coming down to Week 18. All right.
Baker could say, fuck Seattle, just ruin their hopes and dreams.
35% chance of making the playoffs are the Lions.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. They need help from the Rams beating the Seahawks, and then they need to beat the Packers.
Yeah.
So you said that.
Mm-hmm.
Who do you want in out of the 3?
I think the Lions.
I think it would be fun to see the Lions.
The Lions would be very fun.
You want to see Aaron Rodgers?
No.
Just to see him lose?
Yeah. To see him in the 7 seed against the Eagles, but who knows?
I don't know. I think in the NFC, the teams you don't want to play against are Tampa Bay and the Packers.
There's got to be something in your head knowing that this is a do-or-die, sudden death game when you get to the wild card. Even if you've been dominant all season, something in your head is going to fuck with you if you're playing against Tom Brady. You know what I mean? Like, if you're the other team, you're like, he's still Tom Brady.
Yeah. And especially with that game last week. Like, those bombs he was throwing to Mike Evans, it was like, damn, that did not look like a 45-year-old man.
There's only been one take that I have agreed on Robert Griffin III with. Because I think he's just like Kendrick Perkins of the NFL. He's just a Mr. I'll try to throw out hot takes, whatever. But he did say that Mike Evans has been the most underrated wide receiver in the NFL, and I completely agree. He's had 10 seasons in a row over 1,000 yards receiving.
Yeah, he's very good.
He had 200 yards last game. but he's just not talked about. Like, I mean, you hear more about OBJ than you do Mike Evans, which is crazy to me.
Yeah. Glad that we don't have to hear about that, at least for now.
Yeah. But yeah, in the NFC, I think the Buccaneers and the Packers are two teams that I think no matter what you're ranked, you got to be concerned about. And then on the other end, it's I think you're right. The Jaguars and then the Chargers, I think, are the two lower ranked teams that are going to give people a fuss.
Well, I think it'd be kind of interesting if the Chargers and the Jags end up having to play each other as a 4-5 matchup, potentially, because the Jags...
So who's taking that 7th spot in the AFC? I thought the Jags...
The Raiders have a chance?
No, the Raiders are out, but you're looking at the Patriots, you're looking at
Miami,
the Dolphins.
Miami, and then who is our last one? There are
the Steelers.
The Steelers, yeah, there was Steelers.
The
refused to die
that's
there.
right.
So
Is Baltimore in?
Baltimore is in, and I think that brings us to the next kind of like confusing scenario of everything, because the NFL announcing that they're not playing the Bills-Bengals game this week, which means, like, if they were going to be able to keep the status quo on anything, they needed to play that game on Tuesday night,
or on this empty Thursday, and then push whatever games.
What I suggested to Braxton on the way here.
So how could they push that?
I don't know.
What I suggested to Braxton on the way here is the games are Saturday and Sunday. You want to give them enough time for safety reasons to recover before the following week.
Correct.
So if things get sorted out, why can't we do the Buffalo Cincy game Thursday night and then move their Week 18 games to Tuesday or Monday? I feel like that will give them enough recovery time to play the Ravens and the Patriots.
Yeah.
Because Thursday to Tuesday is the same as a Sunday to Thursday, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that, like, when you look at it as a whole, actually playing this game would be logistically more of a nightmare than allowing two teams to carry 16-game records and then trying to kind of figure it out from there. Because what you would end up having, and then you would hope to God that the Bengals beat the Ravens in Week 18. Because if, say, for instance, like the Bills have not a ton of incentive to play the game that they currently to play the game against the Bengals. Reason why is that, like, if they were to play the game and lose, they get the 2 seed, right? I mean, if they beat them, then they have the chance at the 1 seed still. There's still the chance at the 1. But, like, what if you play that and then you lose and now you're having to play an abbreviated Week 18? Now you're tired going into the playoffs. You could just settle for number 2. You're not going to have home field again. You have to go to Arrowhead. That's a big old bummer. You could potentially do a neutral site for the AFC Championship game. I don't think they're going to do that. But what in the AFC North in Week 18, you have the Bengals and Ravens. You have a 10-6 Ravens team. You would have an 11-5, 10-6, and an 11-5 Bengals team. If the Ravens win, you have an 11-6 versus. Hold on, an 11-6 versus a. Fuck, I had this.
10-6
versus a 10-6.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
But to your point, though.
So then one thing. So at that point, the Bengals would win the division still, because they have statistically the better record, but they wouldn't have the divisional record. So the Ravens would have a 4-2 divisional record versus the Bengals at 2-4, but the Bengals still statistically in win-loss would be up, so then they would win, which then they would face each other probably in the playoffs again, and then the Bengals would have home field advantage.
Wouldn't that be enough of an incentive for Buffalo? Because there's a few teams in the NFL where their home field is so important, and Buffalo's one of them.
Yeah, I that's kind of what I was going to say too. I think that
they would rather
Buffalo,
play at home than go to fucking Kansas City.
Yeah, I would say Buffalo is probably the number one incentivized team to play for that number 1 spot. I think it gives them a huge advantage, not only having people come to them, but avoiding those big stadiums like in Arrowhead. So I don't know.
Yeah.
And I think the more time that's going by, I think it's becoming more of a realization that the game is not going to be played.
Right.
I do agree that the moment that we knew Buffalo left Cincinnati and went back to Buffalo, I think that kind of sealed the deal. Because I do agree, if they would have waited overnight and said, hey, let's try to resume on Tuesday, hopefully we have more information on the health situation, and we can feel more comfortable moving forward at that time. But yeah, as soon as they hopped on the plane and headed back home, that was kind of done deal.
For sure. By the way, Cincy right now is at 11-4, not 11-5. They did not play that game. That's why they haven't played 16 games yet. But so when you look at just like how difficult it would be to reschedule the playoffs, the Pro Bowl, and the Super Bowl, like you have all these contracts, you have everything. Like, I mean, we're looking at like, if you're looking at like the only time that the NFL has really done this was 9/11, where they pushed everything a week and then they kind of figured it out later. Right, like but they had 3 months at that point to figure this out. I mean, I don't know if they can at this point alter the schedule to try and fit this game in. One last thing. I didn't mean to like alpha you on that, but the final thing, you have Cincy and Buffalo, two teams, one that was just in the Super Bowl, and then both have Super Bowl aspirations. You want both those teams tired going into the playoffs? Just let them not, and then try and figure it out, the logistics without them playing.
Yeah, I can understand the tired part about it, but I think in 2020 we saw, or 2021, the COVID season, we've seen that the NFL is able to do this, to do a Thursday night game and then turn around and do a Tuesday night game. They do have the capability. But as far as the exhaustion of the players, that's a concern, obviously, heading into the playoffs. Because they don't get a week off. They go right
into it, yeah.
So, yeah, with that being said, yeah, that's tough.
Also, looking at all these adjustments being unusual takes an unusual situation, which this is.
Yeah.
It's like if you say that about 9/11, this is also something that's, I don't know, it's ever happened in the NFL.
It hasn't, no.
So it's something that would warrant adjustments if they can make it happen. But yeah, this close, we're 4 weeks away from the Super Bowl, 6 weeks, whatever. It's a little bit harder, so I can see them siding on not moving anything.
The thing is that there's not a ton of, at least the teams that it would kind of affect, doesn't affect them as much. Like, all these teams are getting into the playoffs that we're kind of talking about. And if you go like, this is for the shield, this is to protect the brand, we have to keep on forging on here. Oh, sorry, Baltimore Ravens, you got screwed a little bit. Like, no one's gonna like have this outcry and say, we got hosed, because like then you're kind of saying that like you're kind of going against Damar Hamlin a little bit in doing so. So I think you just don't play the game. Mm-hmm. These guys aren't tired, and then you just kind of like figure it out. Yeah. And there are rules that say that the commissioner in these rare circumstances can do whatever the fuck he wants.
Yeah.
Kind of. Right? There are provisions that just goes, when all else kind of breaks down, there's not a rule, commissioners is going to decide.
And we all know what the commissioner and the league cares about, and it's money.
Yeah.
Because it's not Roger Goodell that decided not to play last night's game. It was the players.
Yeah, they walked off.
So if it was up to Roger Goodell, I'm not saying he'll make a terrible decision, but there's one thing that motivates him, and it's money. So if it fucks with the money, he probably won't do it. If it improves the money, then he'll go after it.
Mm-hmm. And I mean, if it means that the Bills don't have home field, I think that they'll just add that as kind of the badge that they'll wear.
Yeah, motivation.
More motivation to go ahead and do this. And so knowing at this point, by this game not being played, is going to be royally fucked over.
Yeah.
There's a lot of teams that will be inconvenienced, and there are a lot of teams that will feel like they could have gotten that advantage. But what we were talking about beforehand, Cincinnati was looking great in that game early on. Like, Cincinnati looked like they were going to win that darn game.
That first quarter.
Yeah.
They really put something together.
Yeah, and so, I mean, if you kind of look at the eye test on that first, quarter that was happening, maybe Cincinnati was going to win that game anyway.
They looked pretty good.
And
I am very curious to see, and I know that this priority-wise is very close to the bottom when compared to the situation. But I am very curious because it does seem like they're not going to play the game, how all these fantasy football companies are going to manage that with it being, for so many people, championship weekend and things like that. I'm really, really curious to see what their response is here over the next few days. I guess we'll just kind of have to wait and see.
Because right now, I mean, you have Josh Allen, you have, who else do you have? You have T.
Higgins and Dawson Knox.
Yeah, so I mean, you are projected to win the championship.
Yeah.
But
game stop 9 points down.
9 points down. And so
9 points down.
Right now on Yahoo it says that you lost.
Yeah, my projection's still up there.
Your projection, okay. You got the projection.
That's what's confusing.
That's why I sent the text, because it said 100% that Naoko had won. And I was like, well, I guess they decided. That's why I sent the text earlier today.
Yeah, and then, for our personal league, we'll have to figure that out. Like I said,
it's weird though that if you look at, because I see our league and then I see my league at work, the championship has gone 100% to 0, but the third place game is still pending.
Oh, really?
It still says 61-39.
Well, and also, when the game is completed, every game throughout every week, you get oh, hey, congratulations, here's your grade, here's the breakdown. And obviously, in the playoffs, when the championship game, it's even more so of a thing. Hey, congratulations, you are the champion. And, it gives you a whole season recap. Nobody has gotten any of those emails, at least to my knowledge. So I don't know. It's a very weird situation.
Yeah, I mean, gosh, there's a lot of money involved. There's a lot of.
Think about Vegas alone. All the people that were in Cincy with the tickets, fantasy.
Right. Well, and for people who didn't do championships this weekend and were reliant on this week, relying on next week
to decide who's into the championship.
Right, because that just totally affects. I don't know. If they end up playing this Bills-Cincy game, will they retroactively count those points towards? Will they just say, hey, go ahead and just place whoever you want who was on your bench in, and then may the best person win at that point?
I think regardless, when it comes to what the NFL is going to do with playoffs and the teams and the games and the weeks and then gambling and fantasy, I think with the situation, with the tragedy that happened on the field, if you don't get your way, this is the time to accept it.
Yeah, for sure.
It's whether you're a player, a coach, a team, whatever, a fan, this is where you go, yeah, you just take this one, because that's not something anyone wanted or anyone expected.
Yeah.
You just move forward.
Yeah. Agreed.
There's other people dealing with worse shit.
But if Braxton turns out to be the actual champion, it's not fair.
rigged.
It's rigged.
Yeah.
Absolutely rigged.
Let's not get it twisted.
I really do think that you should alpha the hell out of Naoko on this one, because you would have won if likely. You likely would have won.
And to Miguel's point, there's always a possibility that, like what happened last week, DeAndre Hopkins, I mean, projected to win by 10 points. And obviously that's one player, so maybe it's a little bit different. So it can happen. Maybe the number one quarterback in the league and one of the top receivers just put up duds. Who knows? But again, I agree with Miguel. I'm not even going to get close to alphing anybody in this situation. I want to reach the most simple solution. If that means splitting the pot or doing co-champions, whatever it is, I am totally fine with that. At this point, I kind of just want to close up this season in fantasy and move the fuck on.
I wonder if I'll be invited back. We'll see.
Oh, goodness.
We'll see.
Yeah,
maybe he'll pass the commissioner back to you.
I don't know about that. I don't know if Pete deserves to be given that responsibility
No,
ever again.
It's because then he'll know that I've seen all the commissioner tools that he's seen.
Or
you started the league.
Or he goes back to being commissioner.
you built this league with all those same tools.
Or he goes back to being commissioner and stops paying attention again.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Well, and I don't know if you want to be commissioner, Pete, because I would make your life a living hell.
Beautiful.
Yeah. No, I think I don't know what I'm going to do with commissioner responsibilities. As of now, I am the commissioner, and that's how it's going to stay for the time being. We'll see. We'll see if there's change in the future. If the league wants to decide that there's changes that need to be made, I'm totally open.
Do
to
we
that.
get if you resign? Do we get a vote? Do we have like 2 people go up and then we?
Yeah. We could make this a whole democratic. What we should do is actually this wouldn't work because there's not enough people in our league who'd want to do this. But have like commissioner terms, like you can only be commissioner for 2 years, there's a
term
new
limits,
and you have to like convince the league. Okay, I'm going to make these changes. This is how I'm going to be better for the league. And you have to have like a competitor or whatever. That could be fun, actually.
Have you ever played in the fantasy league where the commissioner got impeached?
Jordan gets elected.
Oregon State law.
Immediately.
Yeah. By the end of the draft night, we impeach Jordan.
Exactly.
No, we'll see. We'll see.
And so we have been under unprecedented times from a fantasy football perspective, from a NFL scheduling, playoff seeding. Also on the IJMS studio on stage here, we are entering times that we are not familiar with, and that has to deal with who is the loser of this week's episode.
Yeah.
We do not have a determination from the NFL, therefore we have not determined what is happening in this game. I actually rigged, quote unquote, the outcome. As soon as I saw your pick, I saw that if you go 2-0, you would tie with Miguel and myself. I had just split your guys's. I changed it so that we had the same pick, so that if you had won both of them, all 3 of us would tie and none of us would lose. But that result hasn't happened yet. So we do have a loser in Juan Magoo from 2 weeks ago, from when we didn't have the outcome of a game yet because we had done the podcast early. So Miguel has lost.
Yes.
But out of everything that's been going on, we will not have a punishment this week.
So be ready for the triple down.
Triple punishment.
God, at this point, it's going to get scary.
Yeah.
So right now,
well, and
it's possibly you and definitely you. It's possibly no one this week.
At this point, someone's dick is getting vacuumed. And it's going to get too much.
Not like the good kind.
Not the good kind.
Not the good kind.
The
like
one...
a Craigslist vacuum. We're not talking Kirby.
Yeah, not from like the hose, like from the bottom part.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, yeah.
A lot of bristles.
Tons of bristles.
Bristles.
Clean it up.
So, that's that for now. So apologies to people who... That's that. Está la terminación.
For all the psychos out there who just wait for the punishments
relish
at the
in
end.
all of this. We're not punishing people for the second straight week.
There's got to be at least 5 people that's
coming.
just waiting for this.
It's coming. We're going to compound.
Yeah, we're not just doing this so that then people eventually forget about punishments. It's that it's just not. It's not the vibe. Not the vibe.
Hey, it's not a bad
Read
thing
the room.
to take a break from punishments. We've gone a little overboard with the last few, okay?
And we're getting closer and closer to that big conversation about the punishment.
Man, he's going to... Okay, Dad, you're just going to have these things about, like, your prophecy about the
Well, I just want to wait till the end of football season.
Oh.
Also, I do want to know for future episodes if Peter is going to address LeBron beating Kareem's scoring record, if that's going to ever be a thing. You know, that's kind of a big deal, but we'll see.
I didn't even know that happened.
I don't think it's happened yet.
Oh, he's on the verge.
Yeah.
So stay tuned.
Stay tuned.
Clear eyes?
Full hearts.
Can't lose.